Good evening. Our time has come, and this evening we are going to be doing a Q&A about becoming a LuLaRoe consultant. So we are on my Facebook page right now doing a Facebook Live, and we'll just give it a couple seconds, see if anybody joins us. In the meantime, you can enjoy the oldie. Hi. Good evening. Thanks for coming on tonight. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, and anybody who joins us late can catch us on the replay. So, as I mentioned, this evening we are doing a Q&A, answering a bunch of questions that have come in to me. Hey, Ashley. Hey, Jennifer. So we're doing a Q&A about becoming a LuLaRoe consultant. I have a lot of questions sent in to me ahead of time, which is awesome. So I've been able to order them in kind of a logical sequence. So we'll start by going ahead and answering those questions I received ahead of time. And then after we get through those, hey, if we still have questions, we can go ahead and answer those questions after. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. I do apologize if I have to look down a few times. I have all my notes from the questions that were sent in ahead of time right below the camera. So if it looks like I'm looking away from you, that's why. So let's begin. So first, my why. Why did I start selling LuLaRoe and why am I sticking with it? So Dennis's cousin Jackie was hosting a lot of LuLaRoe parties all the time, and I was getting invites and I had no idea what LuLaRoe was. So when she was sending me these invites, most of the time I just completely ignored it or I clicked decline. So after a little while, Dennis said, why don't you just check it out and just buy something, support her, she's doing these things. And she was doing these as a hostess, not a consultant, just throw that out there. So I said, okay, so I checked it out. Looked at one of the online pop-ups she was doing, and I was like, hey, these clothes are pretty cute. Now I should note that prior to LuLaRoe, I would never be caught dead in leggings. As a bigger girl, I never felt confident in it. So I just avoided it. I didn't do it. So back to my story. I checked out her online party, and then just that night I decided to go ahead and I bought 2 pair of leggings, a solid pair and a pattern pair, as well as a top. And then I waited anxiously for them to come in the mail. So they come, I put them on, instantly felt a confident boost. It was like I put them on and I was a whole different woman. I just really felt beautiful and just pretty. For the first time in a long time, I hadn't felt like that. So when I walked around wearing those outfits, I just felt better. I carried my head higher and all that. Hi, thanks everybody for joining us. So from that moment, like I literally went to Dennis and I said, we got to do this. We got to sell this. And he laughed at me and he said, I had to beg you to buy something and now you want to sell it. I said, absolutely, because if I feel this great and this pretty, then other women will too. So that's kind of how we got going on it. I did a lot of research for the couple days following that. And then just a couple short days later, I submitted paperwork to become a LuLaRoe consultant. So it happened really quick for us. I can tell you that I have not regretted it once since then. It's been a great decision. As I said, my confidence has grown through it. I feel like I have a lot better time management skills and just overall confidence in talking to people. The relationships that I've built are incredible. The women I would have never met had it not been for LuLaRoe are just so special. Customers and consultants alike, they've just been incredible, and I'm so thankful that I've been able to meet these women and work with them through LuLaRoe. So that's kind of the start of it. I do want to throw out there pretty quick though that as we get into some of these topics, in case I forget, when someone decides to submit paperwork to become a consultant, you don't pay any money at that point. You don't actually pay until your call comes in, which right now is taking about 2 months. So just throw that out there, and then now we'll kind of get going into some of the questions I received. So First of all, if for anybody who joined late, if I'm looking down, it's because my notes from the questions sent in ahead of time are below the camera. So, LuLaRoe started in 2013, and it has just exploded ever since then. So, the main purpose behind LuLaRoe is for giving women a freedom to sell comfortable, affordable, stylish clothing, and give consultants the ability to be able to do that at their own pace and their own flexibility and time. And what I've seen, not only myself, but other consultants after they've signed up, is they've been able to go from that point where you're kind of paycheck to paycheck, just barely letting ends meet, and now all of a sudden they're an active contributor in their household finances, and many of them are able to do it from staying at home. So it's been incredible. The business setup, the business model is that you buy wholesale from LuLaRoe and then you sell it retail to your customers. So that's kind of the basics. Now, the number one set of questions that I've received were about the initial investment cost. So we're going to go ahead and knock out talking about the cost right up front and get it on the table. So there are 3 onboarding packages that you're able to pick from, and they range anywhere from $4,900 to $9,000. And then there's a legging and a Nicole add-on that you can get for about $2,000. So really it's up to you which of those packages that you pick, whether it's the $4,900 package or the $9,000 package. You will make money in the business. You'll be able to pay that investment back. I can say that very confidently because I've never met or talked to a consultant that hasn't been able to pay that investment back. So once you onboard, this was another question that came up. What if I want a style that's not included in one of those packages? As soon as you get that onboarding call, you're able to place an order right then and there. And I did that. There was the perfect tee didn't come in the onboarding package that I received, and I knew that that was my favorite shirt that LuLaRoe carried, so I of course wanted to carry it. So as soon as I got off the phone onboarding, I placed an order and added that to my inventory. So then there's some other costs to consider. You have to have hangers, racks, shipping supplies, all those kind of things. So that kind of adds up. However, with that being said, there are ways to save some money here or there. For example, a lot of consultants use the velvet hangers. They feel that it gives a nice upscale boutique kind of feel. So they spend the money on it. And if I'm remembering off the top of my head, I believe it's like a 30 pack for $10 is the cheapest that I could find anywhere, and that was through Costco. But I'm going to be honest, for me, hangers were not a big deal. I didn't think my customers really care what it's hanging on. I thought my customers would care more about me having a variety of items for them to pick from, a variety of patterns, a variety of styles. So I opted not to go with those hangers that were kind of costly to me. I went with hangers from the Dollar Tree. You can get a 10 pack of hangers for $1. So in all, I ended up saving on hangers, I want to say it was about $85, $90 compared to if I would have got the same amount of hangers in velvet. So that's a huge savings to me. I can tell you I've not had one single customer say, oh, I don't like these hangers. Personally, I've been fine with them. They're just the plastic hangers, but they've done the job for me. I don't have them slipping off hangers. I don't have clothes, getting messed up or anything like that. They hold the clothes. They do a great job. The savings was worth it to me. I would rather invest that somewhere else. Now, that's not to say if you prefer the velvet hangers, do the velvet hangers. Thanks for the love. If you prefer the velvet hangers, then do that. There's no right or wrong answer. Yeah, absolutely, Jen. Love to save the money. If you prefer the velvet hangers, do it. There's no right or wrong answer. It's your business. You make those decisions. That was just the decision I chose to make. But like I said, many consultants go the other way and they do the velvet hangers. You also need some collapsible racks. I had done the Amazon Prime trial membership right at the start, so you get that free overnight shipping. I don't shop Amazon enough normally, so it wasn't worth me to keep it long term, but definitely for that 30-day trial. So I did it pretty close to the time that I was going to be onboarding. That way I could get all of my supplies in, and if anything popped up that I didn't think of before I got my inventory, I could still have time to get it afterwards. So I started with buying 4 collapsible racks. Now my home is pretty small, and by pretty I mean a lot. So we don't have a lot of space in the house here. So using the collapsible racks at home didn't really work for us. Instead, Dennis actually installed us like permanent racks on our basement walls. So he used like um, shelf brackets for closets that have like kind of like a swoopy swoop. I don't know what that's called, but a swoopy swoop is going to be what we call it. Um, and then in that swoopy swoop, we put like thick dowel rods across there, and it lines a whole basement wall, two rows at the top and at the bottom, so I can hang shirts and skirts and dresses and all that. So that's what we did for home to save our some space. And then I do have those collapsible racks for when I do my in-home parties. Swoopy swoop. The collapsible racks are perfect for the in-home parties because you want something that you can take up and down pretty quickly and efficiently. So the kind I have, you can do clothes on two sides. So for quite a while, 3 racks. Hi, Stevie and Paige. The 3 racks were great for me for a long time. And then now that my inventory has grown more, yay, I need 4 racks. I can't get by with just 3 racks. So I recommend as quick as you can, thanks for the love, as quick as you can, afford it. Buy the couple of racks, especially if you're doing like I did and canceling the Amazon Prime afterwards. It'll save you on the shipping just to buy some up front because you will end up needing it. Thanks, Jamie. So that's that. Business cards are another thing that I think is pretty crucial. I wouldn't skip there and save money by not ordering those. I would definitely say that you need those because I was passing them out to everybody. And I actually have a customer her daughter uses them as little cell phones. But hey, that's good advertising for me. Someone sees it. So business cards are important. Now, I priced out everywhere, Vistaprint, GotPrint.com, all those kind of websites that most people use, and it still wasn't cheaper than these little Office Depot cards. I wish I had one right next to me to show you, but I have these little Office Depot discount cards that you can get, and it's free, and it works on everything in the store, but specifically on printing services, it's 40% off. So I got my business cards that way. I designed it myself, and then use that card to get the discount at the register. At the end of the year, they make a donation back to Kiwanis, which is why I love it. Active in Kiwanis, and I love it. But I have those cards available, so if anybody wants it, even just for your own personal uses or your businesses now or whatever, I'm happy to mail them out. Just private message me, address and name. Then the next item I want to talk about real quick was a way to save money is on a mannequin. So I know there's a lot of consultants that are going to cringe when I say this, but you do not have to have a mannequin to get your business started. They are fantastic. They make your clothes look better. I will tell you that. It's easier for a customer to picture the clothes on themselves when they see it either on you or on your mannequin. But if you're looking for a way to save a little money at the very start of your business, you don't have to have a mannequin. You can take the pictures on a hanger and everything will be okay. The world won't stop and people will still buy your clothes. And then once you've made a little money, a week or 2 in, once you've made some money back from your launch parties and that, then you can look at buying a mannequin. Now, I was fortunate that I found one pretty cheap. Hobby Lobby had mannequins on clearance, and the one I ended up buying, it was the very last one, and it was damaged, and it's not anything damaged that customers will see in a picture. It's at the very bottom base of it, scuffed up and marked up, and a little bit of wood had chipped off. My customers don't care because they don't see that part of the mannequin, but it enabled me to be able to talk with the manager, get a discount down. So it was clearance down originally from like $75 I think, or $79. It was clearance down to $40. And then because of that damage, I talked to the manager and I was able to get that clearance down even further. $25 I was able to pay for that mannequin, which is practically a steal. So if you can find a great deal, great, get it. Maybe a store is going out of business and you can get theirs off of them for pretty cheap or something like that. But don't sweat it if you can't buy it right up front. So that's a couple of cost-saving tips. Thanks for those likes and hearts. So now, referencing down to my list, that's why I'm looking now. My next thing is, how do you pay for that initial investment? So it can get pretty expensive. We just talked about the fact that it's $4,900 to $9,000. Check my notes again. $9,000 for that initial investment, and that doesn't include the extras, which were a couple $100 more for me. So how do you pay for that? Well, in my case, I chose to take part of it out of my savings account and part of it I put onto a no interest credit card. I had an 18-month interest-free credit card from Chase Freedom. Worked out fantastic. I'm so pleased because now I knew that gave me flexibility. I wanted the money in my bank account put back within 3 months. That was my goal. Within 3 months. I can tell you, I'll preview to tell you that I way exceeded that goal. It was paid back way sooner. But I knew if worst came to worst and I was not good at selling LuLaRoe and it just wasn't working for me, I could get that portion paid back to my savings account, within a couple months. And now I had 18 months to figure out how to pay off that credit card. So that was kind of what my thought process was in it. Now, I've heard of other consultants who take it all from their savings if they have that ability. Some people have taken a personal loan. Some people have borrowed money from relatives or family, friends, whatever. So there's several different ways to come up with it. But I liked the no interest credit card and part from savings. So the part from savings, I think, helps you feel, lack of better terms, invested, I guess. You're really connected and you're goal oriented on getting that paid back. So now comes negative Nancy, which I don't blame you on because I was this exact same way. I wanted to know what's the worst case scenario. If I can't sell this or if I decide that it's not for me, what happens? Am I stuck with all this inventory I just paid $5,000 for? Absolutely not is my answer to you on that. There's a few options that you'll have available. So the first option is that you can hold a going out of business sale. You can put everything, say, thanks, Jean. You can put everything on discount. You can do 40% off and sell it that way. And I'm telling you, customers will snatch it up at that price. Then you're still making a small percentage, and we'll get into that in a minute, but you're still making a little bit of money even if you discount it at 40% off. Then what doesn't sell from that, you can try to sell to other consultants. Or you could skip the first step and just sell to other consultants. Whatever your mind frame is in that moment that you feel is best for you, that's what's best for you. But you could sell to other consultants. Most consultants would be more than happy to buy it off of you at the wholesale price that we buy it from LuLaRoe for, including myself. So you can either do the going out of business sale, sell it to other consultants, or lastly, let's say you can't do the going out of business sale, other consultants aren't buying it from you, and it's the end of the world, it's the worst case happening, LuLaRoe will buy it back from you at a 15% restocking fee. So really, you're putting yourself in a win-win situation because you give something a shot, it works, great, yes, we're so successful. If you find out it's not for you, there's still a way out and you haven't really lost that much money. So you're doing good there. But to kind of curb all of that as a whole, LuLaRoe is fantastic. The retention rate with LuLaRoe is the highest of any direct sales company at 88%. An 88% retention, can you believe that? It is incredible. So I believe that you will love it. Have I heard of anyone selling back to LuLaRoe? I have. Again, it's the 15% restocking fee, and that's if you've bagged everything up and you send it back to them essentially in the same way that they sent it to you. If you send it back and it's like kind of just all tossed in a box and nothing's folded, nothing's in bags or that, they do charge you a 25% restocking fee. So I recommend strongly that you would repackage it, send it back, and only be out that 15%. But that would, of course, be, in my opinion, after you've tried those other avenues to keep your money and not take any kind of a cut. So, next. How long does it take to repay that initial investment? So, again, we have a lot of questions that came in about the cost, so I wanted to get those out of the way right up front. So how long did it take to repay my initial investment? Based off of my own research, not anything official from LuLaRoe, but I just talked to a lot of consultants before I signed up and since I've been a consultant. And most consultants can pay their inventory back within about 6 to 12 weeks. And it can be quicker if you're working your butt off, or if you're kind of, taking it easy, going at your own pace, slower. Maybe it takes a little bit longer. But on average, I'm hearing anywhere from the 6 to 12 weeks. So personally, I got it paid back in 7 weeks. And that was everything included. My inventory, the additional rack supplies, shipping stuff, the whole nine. Everything completely paid off. And it was actually a little less than 7 weeks. It was more like 6.2. um, so, so it was completely paid back. And how I did that. I want to note that during those 6.2 weeks, very official number, during that 6.2 weeks, I did not take a paycheck whatsoever. Um, so, lost my train of thought, sorry. Oh, and additionally, I was building my inventory. So not only did I, sell 10 items, replace those 10 items, but I would also buy a few additional because I knew I wanted a bigger inventory than what I had at the sign up. So had I not built my inventory and, expanded it from what it already was, I could have paid back my investment much sooner. But I reinvested pretty aggressively those first couple of weeks because I wanted to grow the inventory. I added a couple new styles in that time frame and all that. So again, depending on your goals and how you want to organize your business, that's completely up to you and your choice. There's no right or wrong with that. So next, my goal, the reason I was expanding so significantly, my goal was that by the time December 31st hit, I would be at 1,000 pieces. Woohoo! Happy to report I did meet that goal, where I'm now carrying over 1,000 pieces of LuLaRoe. So I started, my initial onboard kit had 350 items. I onboarded, I got my call at the end of August, got my inventory early September. So just to kind of give you a reference frame there, by December I was over 1,000 pieces. So I was very aggressively reinvesting. Then, as I mentioned, I did not take a single payment for myself in the first 2 months, the full 2 months. So even though 6.2 to 7 weeks I had it paid off, the extra little bit of time there, about a week and a half, I did 100% reinvestment into my business. And then after the 2 months, is when I started. So on the start of the third month is when I started paying myself. Once I've started paying myself, here's the split that I do. 60% of the money that I bring in goes back to building my inventory. I'm replacing what I sold plus adding some more. 15% I save for taxes. Now this is my first tax season with LuLaRoe, so this was the best estimate that I could get based off of doing some research. So I've been saving 15%. I might adjust that up or down based off of how I find taxes work this year. But right now I feel pretty comfortable that that's a good number for me. And then my last 25% is payment to myself. So hope that clears that up. I'm going to keep on going down our list, but you can throw in a question now so you don't forget, or save it to the end, whichever you're comfortable with. Moving on to our everyday operations. So our average sales. Everyone's experience here is going to be completely different depending on how much effort you put into the business. So you could come in and you could decide that I only want to work 10 hours a week and, just kind of let it flow. That's your choice. You could come in and you could work 40 hours a week and kill it on the business. It really depends on what level you're able or willing to put into the business. So for me, let's talk about some of my numbers. Sorry, that just shook on you. My lowest month was my first month, was in September. I only did it for a partial month that month. By the time my inventory came in and I photographed everything and got ready for sales, I only actually sold for about 2 weeks in September. In that month, I did $5,000 in retail. My best month was December. And before I tell you this number, I want to tell you, I feel like I worked a lot harder in December, which everybody says is an easy sales month. I worked hard for every dollar I earned in December. September, I felt completely different. September, I felt like, wow, it's just coming to me. Like, I'm doing this and it's working and it's selling. But December, I worked hard for that dollar. So December was my best month so far, and I hit $9,800 in retail sales. So I'm pretty proud of that. I'm pretty excited about it. And it's really allowed me the chance to contribute substantially to our family's income, and allow us to just do things we haven't been able to do before. We were able to take a vacation in October, toward the end of October, and then in December we really had a great time at the holidays. We went to everything we've been wanting to do for a few years, but before we would tell ourselves, well, we can't really afford that, this and that. I didn't feel that way this year. I was able to say, it's okay. We're allowed to go do these things. We can go eat at that restaurant that's really expensive or whatever because we have the flexibility. So now my next goal is, thanks for all those likes and loves. My next goal is to cruise qualify. What that means is that I would have $12,000 in retail sales for 3 consecutive months. If I am able to do that, LuLaRoe will pay for me and Dennis to go on the company cruise. So exciting. So I'm working hard, and that's the next goal that we're going to hit. So thank you for everybody who joined us late. There's a lot of info we covered, but you can catch it on the replay. So now going on to profit. So there is a wholesale cost list for what consultants do, like pay as a breakdown per item, that it's available once you submit paperwork and you're ready to onboard yourself and become a consultant. But I can give you some averages now so you can kind of get a picture of what it's all looking like. So on average, and any time that I'm talking about average, just remember that it can be a little higher, a little lower, but this is the closest to the halfway point I can give you. So on average, our profit is 50%, which breaks down to about $17 per item. So again, it might be a little higher, it might be a little lower, depending on what the item is. Obviously, some of the lower price points might be a little lower, higher might be a little higher, etc. So, looking at my list again. An average pop-up for me ends up being about 25 items sold. And this is the same kind of thing like I mentioned before. Sometimes I have parties that are killer. I just had one New Year's Eve that ended up being 100 pieces. Or I think it was New Year's Eve. 100 pieces. And I've had others that are 8 pieces, so it can be all over the board. But I would say most times I can pretty well count on hitting about 25 items sold. So with that being said, we just mentioned a few minutes ago, $17 profit per item is about the average. That would mean $425 profit per pop-up on average. It's not really that bad for, if you think about it, just a couple hours of work. So, yay. Time. So this business is truly one that you get out of it what you put into it. So if you're thinking, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. So there's been times that I've been extremely busy and I haven't been able to put much time into LuLaRoe. My sales show it. There's been other times where I can squeeze 30 hours out of a 24-hour day, and my sales are like sky high, and it shows. So really, you get out what you put in. I've talked to several consultants that have gone out of business and asked them why, what made them decide to leave the business, and why are they not selling. And just about every single time that I do that, I get some version of the same story saying, I really wasn't expecting this. I didn't think I was going to have to work so hard. So, with that being said, if you think that it's a business that is, people are just going to come to you to buy it, you don't have to do any work, that's not correct. You have to work. And if you don't work, you're not going to see the profits that you hear people talking about, including myself. It's just not a get-rich-quick scheme kind of thing, But if you are willing to invest some time, then you'll do it. And a line that I've heard numerous times with LuLaRoe is, if you treat it like a hobby, you'll make money like a hobby. If you treat it like a business, you'll make money like a business. And from my experience, that's exactly the case. So it's okay if you want it as a hobby. If you're like, hey, I can do this as a hobby, make a little money, get some clothes cheaper for myself, that's cool if that's your thing. For me, it was certainly a business, and that's how I treat it. So as far as how much time is required, I know a lot of consultants that are teachers and nurses, and they are doing phenomenal in the business. I know other consultants that are stay-at-home moms, or ones that have become stay-at-home moms after they started LuLaRoe. And same thing, they're killing it, Like me, I work from home as a marketing consultant. So I do have other responsibilities and deadlines to meet and things to do, meetings to go to, that sometimes I can't devote, full attention to LuLaRoe. In addition to working, I'm an active volunteer with Kiwanis, and I serve as an officer in my club. Kiwanis is a volunteer organization, for those that don't know. So I serve as an officer in my Kiwanis club, as well as lieutenant governor for like my regional area, geographic region. So there's some days that I just don't really have a lot of time for LuLaRoe. But the bottom line is, you can fit it into your schedule. If you're thinking about it and you're not sure if you have enough time, you can fit it in if you want to fit it in. There's always some room. And again, you'll make money. It's just how much do you make? And a lot of it depends on how much time you're willing to put in. So we're going to continue down these list of questions. If you do have questions, you can chime in now or you can wait to the end, whichever you prefer. Talking about training, a lot of girls wanted to know what kind of training is available for you. So are you just kind of thrown to the wolves, or how does that work? So first of all, we have team calls. My sponsor, which anybody who decides to become a consultant with it underneath me, this would be your Lula Grandmas. It's a team of best friends that are my sponsors. And they are extremely helpful on their team calls. We have them once per month, and they're really open to talking about whatever it is that we need to talk about during that time frame. So if you're having a month where you really need some suggestions on how to get more pop-ups, if you need to know how to run the shipping side of your business, or anything like that, they're open to those. You just let us know, like, hey, I want to talk about this on the team call this month, and it works out into the agenda. We'll make it happen. And get you the answers that you need. So that's number one. That's really effective for me. Number two is the home office has a bunch of phone calls. They have a call each week for QBs, and that's what you would be called once you submit your application, but you're still waiting for your onboarding call. They call you a QB. So the QB call is once a week, and that allows our music stopped. I'm going to keep it going. The QB call allows us to kind of touch base, learn what you're going to need to know to run your business, and get off your feet, get off and running. Then there's calls for people who have already onboarded with LuLaRoe, and those calls are basically intended to kind of keep you in the know what's going on in the business. They offer a few tips and tricks on stuff throughout the videos. It's a video conference call. Then there's an additional training call for onboarded consultants that the subject changes each week, and you'll hear from actual consultants that are just rocking it in the business, that are doing amazing, phenomenal work. They come on and they share with you some of their tips and tricks that they've picked up. So there's all those calls. There are also calls for trainers and mentors and coaches and stuff as you get into leadership within the company. Then we also have an extremely helpful website portal that gives us videos like on demand. Anytime you might need to reference for something, there's probably a video on it for it. It has a lot of tools and resources. So again, if you're looking for, an advertisement for a fundraiser you have coming up or something like that, there's resources for that on there. Any kind of questions you might have, there's answers. So it's a pretty good resource for that. And then, best of all, you have me. I'm here for you to answer any questions you have. Again, tips and tricks. I learned the hard way on a lot of things. I did a lot of things inefficiently when I first started, and then gradually learned better ways to do things. So you'll have me to help you with that right off the bat, and show you some of the things I learned, efficient ways for me. And you might find that they're not as efficient for you, and it will not hurt my feelings at all. But I at least want to be able to share it with you and see if it works for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Next, talking about inventory. This question kind of made me chuckle when it came in. It was saying, what happens if you get in your inventory from LuLaRoe a really super ugly pattern? And I guess I should take a second and back up. You're not able to select what patterns you want from LuLaRoe. When we place an order, we tell them we want this style in this size, this is how many, and we just get random patterns sent to us. So for example, I'm wearing a Sarah right now. Perfect. Sarah, wearing Sarah. And when I order these Sarahs, I can tell them I want 4 mediums and 3 larges or whatever. And then it's a surprise when it comes. It's like Christmas every day. When those packages arrive in my door, I can, woohoo, this is a cool one, you know. But there are times when you see this pattern and you're like, what were they thinking? So the question that came to me was, what do you do? Can you send it back to them? Or, you know, is that why they see people discounting things? Stuff like that. So I'd first like to say everything does sell. I know it's hard to believe, but it truly does. When I got my initial inventory, I had that reaction. That face I just made a minute ago of, what in the world? I had that a few times with my initial inventory. They were literally the first items that sold. I don't know why, because I would never be caught dead in it. But it just goes to show that, you know, what is the ugliest thing in the world to me might be the prettiest thing in the world to you. And vice versa. You might hate what I'm wearing right now, but I think it's beautiful, you know? So it's just kind of remembering that everybody has their own personal style. And it doesn't just matter age range, you know? My mom will wear the exact same outfit I wear, and she rocks it. So it doesn't matter the ages and stuff. It's just personal style. So it's lost my train of thought on my notes here. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I talked to a consultant just shortly after I started selling that told me she had this cool opportunity a little while back that she was able to shop on her own at the warehouse. She was able to go through, pull her own order, and pick all the styles that she wanted. So she was walking out of there thinking, cha-ching, I'm going to sell every piece because I got all the best pieces. And so she took that box, and then she had a box that the warehouse team had packed themselves. And it was really interesting to find out her items, she still has some of them months later. The warehouse box, the entire box has been sold. So it's just really important to keep in mind that we really have a very talented staff working at the LuLaRoe home office. They know what they're doing, and we just have to trust them sometimes that they have our best interest at heart too. So I think that answers that question, I hope. Now, damages. Thank you for bearing with me. We have a few more things to go through, and then we'll open it up. Damages. What happens when a product comes back damaged? Well, I can tell you that LuLaRoe is phenomenal at standing behind their product. If something is wrong, they will take care of it. So it's very, very simple for a consultant when a damage comes in. All I would have to do is send in a short form along with some pictures of the damage, and LuLaRoe will process it on their end, and they will issue me a credit for the full amount that I paid for that item. So I am not out anything. They are just absolutely phenomenal. I can't say that enough about handling damages and standing behind their product. They do create a quality product, but as with any company, there are occasional issues. So when an issue comes up, it's super, super simple to deal with. And as a result of that, it's super, super simple for me to make a customer extremely happy. When they contact me and they're worried that, oh, my leggings got a hole in it, what am I going to do? I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. It's all good. We'll get you a different pair and you're good to go. So no questions asked. I return it every single time. Prices. So you set your own prices. You are the owner of your business. However, there are some policy and procedures from LuLaRoe that we have to follow. So they provide us with a list of MAP prices, which means minimum advertised price. And we have to abide by those. So when you shop at a consultant sale, and on my group page you've seen this, where we might have a sale running and I'll say private message me or email for the price list. That's because per the company policy and procedure guidelines, we are not allowed to advertise any price below that MAP pricing that they gave us. For example, leggings are $25. I am never allowed to publicly advertise anything lower than that $25. This policy is in place to protect us. It's in place to protect the integrity and the value of the LuLaRoe brand. And additionally, it's protecting the culture of LuLaRoe. The culture of LuLaRoe is that we love and support our Lula sisters. We are all in business for ourselves, and we are doing this for a variety of reasons. But most of us want to succeed in our business, and we want it to last the long term. And in order for that to happen, we can't just constantly have the sales going in that. We have to have a good value to the brand. For if a consultant was consistently discounting everything that they had, it will directly, indirectly, or directly, however you look at it, affect their Lula Sisters companies as well. Because now the customers, thanks, Joy, the customers will always expect a discount, or they won't want to purchase if you don't offer a discount. So it kind of just becomes a thing, and it cheapens the value. The prices with LuLaRoe are extremely comparable. If you went out to a major store and you were looking at comparable quality and style that comes along with the LuLaRoe brand, you will find that their prices 99.9% of the time are higher than LuLaRoe, or at the very least matching us. So I am very confident to say that our prices are right where they should be. Do I know that you can go out and buy $5 or $10 leggings at some of those big box stores that have websites named about the people who shop there? Yes. I know that you can go get leggings for $5 or $10 at that store and other stores. However, the quality is what you have to pay attention to, and the quality of those leggings from the $5 or $10 ones are not up to par. They're the ones that you can see people's undergarments through, and that's not for me. So that's that about pricing. I feel very passionate about the pricing issue. Now, team building. We're getting toward the end of my preset questions, so get ready with your questions for me. They're baggy in the booty then. Are you talking about the $5 or $10 ones are baggy in the booty? The comments are slightly delayed, so it takes a minute for it to get to me. I think she's talking about the $5 or $10 ones. I hope. I've never had a baggy in the booty ones from LuLaRoe. So, team building. Yes. She said yes. All right, so team building. Why do I want to build a team? Here's why. Because number one, I love teaching and mentoring. It's a big passion of mine, and I love to see other people succeed, especially women. Men too, they're Lula bros, so I like to see you succeed as well. I just recognize how difficult it can be for many women to be able to make the kind of money that we make with LuLaRoe in normal fields. Whether you have a degree or not has nothing to do with it, but it's very difficult to be able to make this kind of wage anywhere else. And especially to make this kind of wage when you're able to be so flexible with your schedule. You're able to go on vacations when you want to, and you don't have to ask for time off and wait for approval from a boss. You are the boss. You can go to your kid's soccer game or ballet recital or band concert, and it's okay. No one's going to tell you you can't. Those are all things that are super important to me. My son is 2.5, and I can't wait for that day. And I'm just so ecstatic that I'm never going to have to tell him, Mommy can't come because she has to work. So those are huge for me. I want to be able to help other women achieve that as well. And just personally, the relationships that I built, I know I touched on this earlier, but my sponsors, for example, I have never met them in person. I'm from Michigan, they're from North Carolina. But I feel like I've known them forever. I've gotten to know them very well over the last few months. They have been an extremely helpful part of why my business has been successful. They are there to answer my question no matter what time of day I send it. And just overall, they are an example of strong, independent, powerful women who are there to help other people succeed. And that is huge for me. So I want to be able to be that example and that leader for someone else. So someone asked, what do you get for sponsoring someone? Well, number one is what I just told you. All of those items I just listed on why I want to team build, I get to experience those benefits that come from helping you succeed, from helping be your mentor, your teacher, and just guiding in the process. And that's at whatever level you need. If you need to talk to me every single day, would talk every day. We can talk 5 times a day if that's what works for you. But if you're kind of more laid back and you're like, you know what, I think I pretty well got it. I just want you like there in case I need it. That's cool too. So that's that. Secondly, because we are, as sponsors, devoting time, energy, skills, experience, LuLaRoe, from the home office, not from the consultant side of things, the LuLaRoe home office does provide a compensation package for sponsors. So I would receive 5% of sales that you do through LuLaRoe. So again, that's out of LuLaRoe's pocket, not your own. It's nice, but it's certainly not the reason that that we all do this. You know, I'm extremely passionate, just as my sponsors were. My sponsors could care less about that 5%, and it was obvious by the love and attention that they showed someone that they had never met. So that's kind of that. Now, last section is how do you go about signing up if you are interested in becoming a consultant? So first of all, let me make sure I've answered all your questions, whether it's on this video tonight. What we've already talked about. If you have additional questions, you're going to be able to ask away in just a second. You can contact me afterwards anytime. If you think of something else that you weren't able to ask tonight, or you didn't feel comfortable asking tonight, ask away. I'm an open book. I'm happy to answer anything. Then your next step would be to click the link below. It's not there yet, so don't look yet. But as soon as the video ends, I'm going to put a link in the comment section of this video. Or replay viewers, just look below. It'll be there. So you'll click that link. It's join.mylularoe.com/SarahAndDennis/join. And that'll take you directly to a link to sign up within under me as your sponsor. If you really hate me and you don't want me as your sponsor, I completely understand, and I can help you come up with a sponsor that might be more fitting for you. So don't be shy about that either. If you think that we won't be a good match, that's okay. But I would love to help you come up with a match that is good for you. So then you'll fill out a couple short questions, and then you kind of start playing the waiting game. Currently, from the time you submit your application to the time that you get your onboarding call, it's about 2 months. It's the longest 2 months of your life, but there is a lot of things that we can do to help you prepare for your business within that 2 months. I do like to point out that there is no money due up front. So if you submitted your application today, you would have about 60 days until you receive your call. After those 60 days, when you receive that call, is when you would pay money. So you still have that 60-day window. If you decide somewhere in that 60 days that it's not for you, that's okay too, and you can back out without ever putting a penny out of your pocket. Of course, we don't encourage that because you're going to rock it and be awesome. But keep that in mind. You do still have kind of a rescission period, a right to rescind during that time frame if you decide it's not for you. So I've talked quite a bit tonight, and now I'd like to turn it over if there's any additional questions or things that I have not covered yet that you want to hear about. And go. Who's got a question? I know Ashley had questions, so I'm just waiting to see one from her. And there's a delay with Facebook Live, so it might take me a minute to see your question if you've already posted. I must have covered everything that everybody had to ask, right? Hey, Teresa. We're actually toward the end of our call, but I'm taking questions from anybody who has them right now. Ashley says, oh man, I feel like you've covered everything at the moment. My other questions are mostly mailing and shipping and specific to me. Okay, so we can handle those in a bit. Joy, what are the different onboarding packages available? What's the least amount of money you can get started with? So we briefly talked about this at the start, but there are 3 onboarding packages currently. They're going to range anywhere from $4,900 to $9,000. So it's quite the stretch. The smaller package has smaller number of inventory. That's really the big difference. You're paying the same percentage off discounts and all that, no matter what package you choose to go with. But the smaller package is $4,900, and then again, we mentioned a couple of the extra supplies you can get. So you could get away with from five grand, maybe 5,500 or less, in that range, as the cheapest to get started with. And you will still be phenomenally successful even if you just purchase that small kit. It doesn't have to be the largest one that there is to be successful. Melissa, where do you buy your extra stuff from? Racks, plastic bags to ship, etc. Also, I don't know if you covered it because I missed the beginning of the video, but what additional items do you need to be successful? Great questions. So the extra stuff, I do have a whole list that I can provide, like actual specific websites that I got things from. But I did get a lot of my stuff from Amazon Prime. The collapsible racks I bought from Amazon, mailer bags and all that. I did originally buy from Amazon, but I have to say just the other night I was buying some more and I bought them off of Etsy, and it was like $3 cheaper per 100 envelopes. So shopping around is nice if you have the time to do that, and you'll be able to find some cheaper prices. But I also have the Dymo printer for shipping. Lifesaver, let me tell you, I don't know what I would have done if I had to handwrite all of those labels. But the Dymo printer is pretty expensive. I have the Dymo 4XL, and it prints like 4x6 shipping labels. I use stamps.com for shipping. Makes things super simple. You can print the shipping right from home. You actually get a discount of what you would have paid if you went to the post office to do it. So that's fantastic because I spent thousands of dollars in shipping this year. So the discounts are helpful. And granted, the customers do pay some of that, but sometimes you do promotions for free shipping, or some consultants choose to do free shipping all the time. So anyways, I hope that answers some of those questions. The shipping supplies, the racks, hangers I mentioned I got from the Dollar Tree. So yeah. Joy, great, thanks. Really reasonable for a business startup. It really is. Especially for the type of business that we're doing. Because remember that it's not like we're selling, small nail wraps. Jamberry startup costs are significantly less than ours. They're a fraction of it. But so is the product. The product cost per item is significantly less than LuLaRoe. And they're not carrying inventory of their own and things. They're buying it from the company and it's going to the customer. With us, we are the wholesaler, or the retailer. We're buying it wholesale from LuLaRoe. We're selling it retail to the customers. So the property is mine. It is nobody else's. Once that inventory hits my store, it's mine. So it really isn't a reasonable startup. And it's enough of an investment that you're going to work hard. You're going to work hard. But I think it's also an appropriate number of clothing to get you started successfully. If you had less than that, I'm not sure you would be as successful. Joy says, exactly, and LuLaRoe sells itself. It really does. You have to be out there and work for it a bit. You can't just sit back and think people will knock at your door. But if you're out there and you're working your business, you're going to do great. I'd like to mention, I forgot to mention earlier, a lot of other videos that I saw on YouTube and Facebook and wherever when I was researching about becoming a consultant, all of the women said, you have to do in-home parties or you will not sell anything. Online is just, it's a wash and you're not making anything there. My sponsors kill it with in-homes. They do a ton of in-home parties every month and they just rock their business. That's how they get their sales. On my side of things, I don't do as many in-homes. I do a couple a month of in-home. Like December, for example, that was my biggest month ever. I told you guys I did $9,800 in sales. I had 2 in-home parties, and they were the same day. So I spent one day, did 2 parties, in-home, and that was it. The rest of mine was entirely online. So the online business is not dead. Whoever said that, maybe they're missing something. They're not doing something, but the online business is not dead. That's not to say that the in-home market is not huge. If I had more time and ability to do more in-homes, I don't even know the places that my business would go. It would just be phenomenal, because when you do in-home pop-ups, you're hitting a market of people who aren't saturated on the internet. And it's not to say that it's saturated. That might have been the wrong choice of words. But you're hitting customers who have never experienced LuLaRoe. They've never put a piece of LuLaRoe on their body. And they're trying it with you for the first time. And when they try it with you for that first time, they have a connection to you. And now they come back over and over and over to shop with you. So the in-home part is extremely important. But if you feel like, man, I can't do 15 in-home pop-ups a month, I don't have time for that, or I don't have the, whatever, a babysitter for this or something, don't even worry about it, because I don't do it, and I'm still rocking. So let me see my next question here. Ashley, do you foresee personally LuLaRoe being around for a while and not just being a trend that's going on to pass in a year or two? I absolutely see it as a company that will survive for quite a while. That was a huge discussion in our household when I was looking at signing up, because Dennis, and he's going to jump on, he wasn't able to be here tonight, but he's going to come on next week for some follow-up questions. But he was very concerned, if we do this and it's like a huge fad for 6 months and then it goes away, what's that going to do to us? But the amount of sales growth that we've seen, the company, as I mentioned earlier, started in 2013. The amount of sales that we're doing in just a month right now was what we used to do an entire year. So the way I kind of view it is, when Avon first started, if I had been one of those first 50,000 consultants with Avon, where would I be now? How much money would you be making now after all this time? And on the reverse of things, if you waited and you didn't sign on until, Avon had been around for 20 years already, you're kind of after the ball. You're not part of that culture and part of that happening like we are at this point with LuLaRoe. It is still a baby company. There's still kinks that are getting worked out all the time. There's learning curves that they're going through because the company is growing so substantially. But they're working through it, and they're doing a great job on working through it. And they take care of us, So I do see it being around, because I feel like they're taking the appropriate steps necessary to make sure that we have a sustainable future. Hope that answered. But like I mentioned, that was a huge talk in our house to make sure that it wasn't something that was just going to go away right away. Any other questions from anybody? We got Marvin Gaye on now to entertain us. This is my Pandora oldies party station for anybody interested. They really rock it out on there. And it's friendly for everyone who might be listening. Before I turned on the video, I was listening to 90s country, but I know many people would not like that one. Oops, sorry, kicked you again. Joy says A. You win in my life, you see. I'll just give it another couple minutes here and see if anybody has questions as we wrap up. But I do appreciate you all jumping on tonight or watching the replay and checking it out, seeing if I can answer some questions for you, and any of that curiosity that you might have going on, that we can get those questions answered. And if you're ready to make a decision that's really going to change your life, do it. And I know that sounds cheesy, but it is so true, and I wouldn't have believed it until I experienced it myself. But it truly has just been phenomenal. Joy mistyped. I know you're dancing in your seats there. Can you hear it well enough? Joy said she's giving me an A for the video. Okay, well, I'm not seeing any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for tonight. But like I mentioned, we're probably going to have a follow-up. I don't know for sure which day next week, but we're going to have a follow-up next week where Dennis can jump on here. So if your spouses have questions, you know, feel free to get those ready. Send them over to me ahead of time so we can do like tonight and kind of have a good rundown of questions. I can guarantee if you're thinking it, someone else is too. I was amazed at how many duplicate questions I got from different people. So that just shows that everyone's kind of thinking the same things. But you can always private message. Then nobody needs to know you asked if you're shy. So that's it. We'll see you back. Message me if you have questions or if you're ready to get going. Talk with you soon. Bye.